Hello Internet, I'm J-Funk, and this is my guide to heroic and mythic Nexus-Princess Ky'veza. Following the trend of the obligatory third-to-last boss that is single target and has simple yet somehow complicated mechanics, there is Nexus-Princess Ky'veza. Much like a lot of fights in this raid, this is a one-phase encounter that goes into an intermission that then loops back into the same phase, but then it's slightly harder. The main mechanic of this fight is assassination. Ky'veza will mark several players, usually preferring ranged DPS and healers, with a 6-second debuff indicated by these purple circles. When it expires, it will deal damage to all players in 5 yards, apply Queen's Bane, and create a Nether Phantom at their location. Positioning of these Nether Phantoms are important, but more on that later. Queen's Bane is a dot that when it expires will cause 3 orbs to shoot out from your character in a triangle formation based on where you are facing. These orbs deal significant damage, so make sure to aim them away from the group if possible. Nether Phantoms are spectral copies of Ky'veza that will mimic some of her spells, namely Nether Rift and Nexus Daggers. Nether Rift will cause Ky'veza and her Nether Phantoms to create sucking void zones at their locations. Ky'veza's will be cast at the current tank's location. The intensity of the suck can become overwhelming if there are multiple Nether Rifts on one side of the room. This is why the location of the Nether Phantoms is important. You don't want to end up in a situation where you have 4 Nether Rifts in one area of the room. You get sucked in and become atomized, killing you instantly. It is not uncommon for the Queen's Bane dot to expire as the Nether Rifts begin pulling you towards them, creating a situation where you need to dodge orbs while also fleeing from the Nether Rifts. Nexus Daggers will cause Ky'veza and her Phantoms to face the location of a random player and shoot out 3 limes in a V shape towards them. Move out of these. The positioning of Nether Phantoms gets a little bit chaotic because of Twilight Massacre. Ky'veza will command her Nether Phantoms to focus on one random player each. After 6 seconds, that Phantom will charge through that target, dealing damage and applying Queen's Bane. You want to coordinate where you're aiming this charge to make sure that the Nether Phantoms end up semi-spread out to mitigate the pull effect of Nether Rifts. Also, it's important to note that the Nether Phantoms will charge through you, as in they will end up behind you afterwards. Void Shredders is a simple tank mechanic that applies a dot. Oh yeah, and by the way, if you ever fall below 10% HP in this fight, you'll trigger Reaper, and Ky'veza will kill you instantly, so don't do that. Once Ky'veza reaches 100 energy, she will teleport to the center of the room and begin casting Starless Night. After the cast finishes, she'll chart a channel of this very same name that pulses damage and creates these large cones called Eclipse that you'll need to continuously move out of. While you are dodging these, Ky'veza will affect random players with Regicide, which is basically the blaze mechanic from Farak. They are long lines with random directions that will deal damage to you and anyone in that line after a short duration. Make sure, much like Blaze, to move along the direction of your line when you are dodging the Eclipse cones from Starless Night. After 24 seconds, Ky'veza's energy will deplete and you begin phase 1 again. However, she will increase the number of Nether Phantoms you have to deal with by 1. In addition, the third Starless Night will continue forever and act as a softened rage similar to Smolderon. Eventually the entire room will be covered in eclipses and you won't be able to dodge. That covers the fight on Heroic. On Mythic, there is one new mechanic. Several of the Nether Phantoms created by Ky'veza will have Death Mass, which basically translates that they have red eyes and a subtle red outline. These Nether Phantoms are special and need to be aimed through Ky'veza when Twilight Massacre occurs. However, when they are, they will make Ky'veza pulse damage, as well as give her a stacking 10% damage buff for 10 seconds. And, if 3 of these enhanced Nether Phantoms are shot through at the same time, that damage buff becomes permanent. If you don't remove these Death Masks before Ky'veza enters the Starless Night phase, each enhanced Phantom will do a raid-wiping AoE nuke. This greatly complicates the positioning of the Nether Phantoms for Nether Rifts and the coordination required to not cleave other players, with Twilight Massacre resulting in a ton of Queen's Bane dots and a lot of orbs to dodge. In testing, we weren't quite sure of the best way to deal with this mechanic, and we're YOLOing it pretty hard, as the increasing number of Nether Phantoms in later phases starts to complicate any preset positioning strategies further. The TLDR of this fight is as follows. Spread out your initial Nether Rifts from assassination, run away from Nether Rifts, aim your Nether Phantom away from the group if targeted by Twilight Massacre, dodge Nexus Daggers, dodge Eclipses during Starless Night, don't cleave with Regicide. On Mythic, aim empowered Nether Phantoms through the middle of the boss to remove Death Mask. That does it for this video. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.